Hello. Like I said last month, I would try to do like a quick recap of stuff that happens in Hitman every month and leave like a stream archive somewhere if you really want to watch like the actual full thing I do where I go through everything in greater detail. So normally I would start this thing by going through the patch notes, checking if there's anything interesting, but this time I honestly think that the patch notes were just a big list of minor changes and small fixes, which is kind of cool, but ultimately not interesting. However, I owed it their own monthly stream, and they did answer a couple of very interesting questions that I do want to address. First one being related to the game being always online. So let's hear what they had to say.
Okay, first question. Are you planning to make the full game playable offline when the trilogy is completed? Question mark. Very loaded question. Don't draw too much from my answers.
Sorry, Travis, I absolutely will.
That's one of those questions we'll take when we get to that point of the trilogy being completed, if that day should come to pass. Second of all, making the whole game playable offline. The locations are available offline.
And let's not pretend that the locations being playable offline means a damn thing. The offline mode is a joke. And there's no way around it. It's like saying that the locations are playable offline. It's like saying you can technically play Counter-Strike offline because you can play against bots. It's so bare bones that it's not worth playing at all.
It is things like escalation contracts and featured contracts and obviously elusive targets. I think special assignments too.
And forgetting the most important thing, I think, which is challenges, unlocks, the ability to even get a score. Like, there is no progression if you're offline.
Offline. I cannot answer that question completely right now. However, should the day ever come when Hitman needs to be available purely offline, I would fight for that to be the case.
And if this is the most we get, then I am not satisfied with this answer. No offense, Travis, but your word here doesn't mean anything to me. Like, I would much rather have an official statement saying that, hey, we have a plan, or that this is what we're gonna do when eventually we have to take down the servers. We are going to make the game playable offline at that point somehow. I don't care how, I don't expect you to do it tomorrow. I just want you to have a plan on how you are gonna handle the servers being taken down. This is not it. It's okay if you don't take the servers or make the game fully offline right now. There could be some really difficult issues to be resolved. Like perhaps several years ago you made some design choices that really rely on the servers being there, and right now it's difficult to change that around anymore. That's fine, it's understandable. You can't predict things like that always. But I want you to have a plan so that we know that the game will be playable offline at some point. Doesn't have to be tomorrow, but at some point.
I cannot conceive the idea of the servers ever shutting down and all of the content just being lost.
In the meantime, let's take a look at this note from just over a year ago about Hitman Absolution's servers. We will be temporarily closing the Hitman Absolution Contracts Mode server before the end of May 2018. Temporarily, they are still not back.
That's not to say in 100 years it won't happen. And I don't solely make that decision. But based on our history of keeping Hitman Season 1 fully alive for almost 3 years now, we've not shown any reason why we would abandon the game. I think.
Well, I just showed you one. Plus, it's not only a matter of you abandoning the game. There are other reasons why you need to have proper offline. Because just after the patch came out this month, we had a server outage. Let's see, over here, this is what I had to say about that. The server outage is unrelated to the update. This is probably an aftermath of the issue that occurred last night. A subset of storage solution of one of the European Azure data center is having an availability issue. meaning that someone at Microsoft's end messed up and the servers were down for about an hour. Nothing IO could do about that. It doesn't matter if they keep their servers running, there are other weak spots that I think need to be addressed. Plus, less than a week later, we have another situation. As I type this, the servers seem to be down for me, yet websites tracking the overall server health are showing everything is fine. Turns out, the Steam servers were down, not Hitman servers. But again, that made it playing Hitman impossible. Not related to IO, but still, because of the always online requirement, the game was unplayable. And this is why I don't think Travis being willing to fight for an offline mode is good enough. I think they need to have a plan. And I think they need to tell us that they have a plan. Even if they are not going to execute on that plan immediately.
I think every single person that works here loves the hell out of Hitman.
Which I believe, but I don't think that's gonna keep the servers up and running.
And what it stands for, and what we did, and what we achieved with Season 1, especially Season 1, as it sort of broke new ground. So I can't answer, but I think I can add some flavor to the question, let's say.
Yeah, and that is basically why I found this response very disappointing, because while he cannot answer, he basically answered that they, at the moment, do not have a plan, which I think they definitely need. Anyway, moving on.
Cool, next question. In the end, don't know what that means, in the end. Are you planning to make elusive targets permanent like special assignments?
There's more questions like that here as well. So that's actually...
So, ignoring the in the end part, because I don't want to answer to what that is, or when that might be, or what you mean exactly, but about making elusive targets permanent like special assignments, that's not currently the plan for Hitman 2. Elusive targets are set up the way they are, and as far as I know, there are no plans for that. That's not to say it won't change in the future. That's not to say our future plans might be different. But currently, not planning it in Hitman 2. That's all I can speak to for now.
Right. I mean, this is more just my personal opinion on elusive targets. I think they should be taken to a rotation. So every 3 days, you have one elusive target available to you that you can play once, no matter if you've played it before or failed it before, or never played it before. Just put them on a rotation that maintains some sort of elusiveness, keeps the thrill somewhat going, but also allows everybody to play them no matter when they get the game. I feel like that would definitely earn a lot of people's trust, because this is a big part of the image issue I think Hitman has. Because a lot of people seem to associate Hitman with always online and time-restricted content. And, well, going back to the previous question, addressing how they're gonna handle the servers in the future would probably do them a lot of good in people's eyes. Same with handling elusive targets in a different way. And at the moment, I don't think elusive targets are as effective of a marketing thing as they used to be, considering that it took them 8 months between elusive targets in Hitman 2. So to me it seems clear that they are not worth it, and the appeal has been wearing off. Not just me personally, but seeing how much IO is putting time and money into them. So I don't think they're worth it. I think they should be. I think IO should reconsider how they're handling it in the future. I don't think they need to wait for the end of the speculative end of Hitman 3 to make them replayable. I think they should really start looking into it sooner rather than later. But on a completely different subject, but that will tie back into this, there was a very nice fan-made project that came out just a couple of days ago, which is the Hitman 2 randomizer mod, which says, the mod randomizes almost all the level items, NPC weapons, stash items, and 47 starting gear each time you start a level. And I played it a few hours. It was pretty interesting. It's obviously very early for the mod, but I still had a good bit of fun with it. And I think the most interesting thing about this, aside from the whole thing being pretty fun, obviously, is that when you randomize a level, it also places in some items that are not normally available in the game. You have things like cure grenades, which are effectively, sedative grenades, and a bunch of other cure items, for instance, and some placeholder items, and overall stuff that hasn't been released and probably never will be released. And to me, that is very interesting, because this is now the first mod that we've had in, or the first significant mod that we've had in modern Hitman. And the reason why this is interesting is because, obviously, as Pascal, who made the mod, points out, Replay All ET's mod is obviously on the table, and I don't think IO would be too thrilled about that. Because that is not a new concept. That's something that has been discussed and been known to be possible since 2016, but it never came out. And I got some guesses as to why. Because here's a post by Swixel from 2016. This is about a different subject, but Swixel used to do some data mining and digging around the game files overall. And here's the best quote I was able to find from him. Since community mods are off the table, not because it's impossible, but because I've personally been threatened with legal action if I make an unsanctioned mod. Yeah, take that as you will. Obviously, it's from 2016. Things have changed. I didn't think this was a very good look for IO back then, and I don't think it would be a good look for them now. So I hope that their stance on this has changed. Because I would very much like some mods, and I think it would be in everybody's best interest if we had some sort of proper modding scene. Because that is something that could, again, help the image regarding the always online issue, perhaps, as well as ETs being time limited. But yeah, I look forward to seeing if IO has anything to say about the mod, because it shows some promise, but I don't know if that's what IO wants to see. Yeah, that's enough of these things. Finally, let's take a look at the roadmap, which won't take too long, because first we had Riviera Restoration and Divine Descendants escalations. Neither was very good. I would not recommend them. They were basically contracts. Then Warlord, some contracts, challenge packs. I did not do any of these. These are old stuff, and this is not interesting to me. Serial Killer, Elusive Target, which I finally played. Haven't played an ET in a long time, and this was not all that interesting either. Very standard ET. The only difference is that they tried to make it. They tried to hide the target's identity by not giving a proper picture at the start. But that whole mystery was not very effective when Diana effectively backseated throughout the mission and ruined the whole surprise. And then we had 2 legacy escalations, which I don't know why they did not change the legacy escalations to be 3 levels, just condense them a bit. I feel like it would have helped, because by the time I got to level 5, I was already pretty much sick of the whole escalation in both of these. Not that level 5 was bad, I just wasn't feeling it at that point anymore. And then there was the challenge packs, which I had only had a quick look at. There was a pretty decent seeming shotgun challenge about killing 5 guards without getting spotted. Alright idea, the rest of them not so much. But finally, there was something very good. It's nice to be able to end this on a good note. We had the Halloween escalation, and it was actually very, very good. I feel like this is exactly what escalations need to be. I don't want to spoil it. I strongly recommend you play it. But this should be what they think of when they think of future escalations. Because not only did it have a very creative mechanical ideas, stuff that you would never see in any other game mode, but they also tied those mechanical ideas into a very nice concept, and they all of these things work together in a really nice way, and it made for a unique experience that you don't see anywhere else in Hitman. I could maybe argue that the final level was a bit much, but at the same time I enjoyed the fact that it was actually a challenge to get Sound Assassin in it. But yeah, it's like absolutely IO. More like this is by far the best escalation that you have ever done. I think this is better than the what were they called? Special assignments? Yeah, better than any of those special assignments. I would love to see more creative content like this. Not necessarily as detailed as this. There's a lot of unique assets in here. Don't necessarily need that. Just play with some unique ideas, some mechanics that you don't normally get to mess around with. Overall, very, very positive surprise right here. Strong recommendation. But yeah, that sums up this month. This turned out longer than expected, but I guess that's a good reason to end. Thanks for watching. See you later.